Welcome to my channel, Real English Fluency. Have you ever looked at your life and felt like nothing is really changing? Same job, same routine, same tired feeling every single day. You watch other people grow, earn more, look healthier, feel happier, and you quietly wonder, why not me? You work hard for your job, you work hard for your family, but somewhere deep inside, you forget to work hard for yourself. If this feels familiar, comment yes right now. Because in this video, I will show you 10 simple areas of life that quietly build a stronger, richer, more confident version of you. Not overnight, not with some magic trick, but step by step, the same way anything valuable is built. You are the only investment that never stops giving returns. So stay till the end, because by the time this video finishes, you will know exactly where to start. Chapter 1. Learn continuously. There is a quiet moment in most people's lives when they stop learning, and they do not even notice it happening. It usually happens right after school or college ends. People feel like learning is finally over, like it was just a task to finish, not something to carry for life. But this belief is one of the biggest reasons people feel stuck years later. The truth is, learning never really ends. Life keeps teaching new lessons every single day, but only if we stay open to them. When someone stops learning, their mind slowly stops growing too. It becomes comfortable with what it already knows, and comfort over time quietly turns into being stuck. Think about two people who start the exact same job with the exact same skill level. 5 years pass. One person kept learning small things along the way, new ideas, new ways of thinking, small lessons from books, videos, or simply from paying attention to life around them. The other person did the same tasks in the same way without adding anything new. After 5 years, their paths look completely different. One person grew, the other stayed exactly the same. This is not because one person was smarter. It is simply because one person kept learning and the other did not. Now let us talk about what continuous learning actually means, because many people misunderstand it. It does not only mean going back to school or studying big, difficult subjects. It simply means staying curious about life. It means reading a little, watching something educational instead of only entertainment, listening carefully when someone knowledgeable is speaking, asking questions instead of assuming you already know everything. This kind of learning does not need money. It only needs a small shift in daily habit. There is something powerful happening inside your brain when you keep learning. Your brain stays sharp, it stays flexible, it stays young even as years pass. But when learning stops, the brain slowly becomes rigid, slower to adapt, slower to solve new problems. This is why some people, even in their 60s, still feel mentally sharp and full of energy, while some younger people already feel mentally tired and stuck. The difference is simple. One kept learning, one did not. Many people believe curiosity is something only children have. They think adults should already know everything, and asking questions makes them look weak or unprepared. But this belief quietly damages growth. Curiosity is not childish. It is one of the most powerful tools an adult can use to build a better future. The moment you allow yourself to be curious again, doors start opening that were closed before. Now let me give you something simple and practical you can start today. Every day, give yourself just 15 minutes to learn something new. It does not need to be related to your job. It does not need to feel serious or heavy. It can be anything that expands your mind even a little. Read a few pages of a book. Watch a short educational video. Listen carefully to someone who knows more than you about a topic you enjoy. 15 minutes feels small, almost too small to matter. But here's the truth about small habits. They compound. 15 minutes a day becomes almost 90 hours a year. Over 5 years, that becomes hundreds of hours of new knowledge quietly added to your mind without ever feeling overwhelming. This is exactly how ordinary people slowly become extraordinary, not through huge, dramatic changes, but through small, consistent learning, repeated patiently over time. Filling your mind with knowledge feels good. It builds confidence. It opens new perspectives. But knowledge alone is not enough to change your life. Knowledge only becomes powerful when it turns into something you can actually do. And that brings us to something even more important than learning itself, which is the courage to turn what you know into a real, usable skill. Chapter 2. Develop new skill. Knowledge tells you what is possible, but skill lets you actually do it. This is one of the most important differences many people never fully understand. You can know everything about swimming, the movements, the breathing, the theory behind it. But if you never actually get into the water, you still cannot swim. This is exactly why some people know a lot, yet still feel stuck in life. They read, they watch videos, they understand ideas deeply, but somewhere between knowing and doing, they stop. And without action, knowledge simply stays quiet inside the mind, never turning into something the world can actually see or benefit from. Skills work differently. Skills create real value, the kind that gets noticed, respected, and even rewarded. Think about someone who reads about public speaking for years, studying every tip, every technique, every famous speaker's method. Now think about another person who simply stands up and speaks, even nervously, even imperfectly, again and again. After some time, who do you think becomes a better speaker? It is almost always the second person, because skill only grows through actual practice, not just understanding. This is an uncomfortable truth for many people. Learning feels safe. Practicing a new skill feels exposed, awkward, even embarrassing sometimes. Nobody enjoys the beginner stage. Nobody enjoys feeling clumsy or unsure while trying something new. But here is something important to remember. That awkward beginner stage is not a sign of failure. It is actually proof that real growth is happening. Every skilled person you admire today once stood exactly where you are standing now, feeling unsure, feeling slow, feeling far from good. The only difference between them and someone who gave up is that they continued anyway. Confidence does not come from motivation alone. Confidence comes from proof, and skill is proof. When you can actually do something, speak clearly, write well, cook a good meal, manage your time, solve a problem, that ability quietly builds a deep, real confidence inside you. This confidence is different from empty motivation because it is based on something true, something you have already accomplished with your own hands or mind. Now, how do you choose which skill to develop? This does not need to be complicated. Start by looking at your personal interests, the things that naturally pull your attention. Then look at your goals, whether that means career growth, better communication, or simply becoming a more capable version of yourself. A skill that connects both interest and purpose tends to stay motivating for much longer because it feels meaningful, not forced. Here is a simple, practical step you can take starting this month. Choose just one small skill. It does not need to be huge or impressive. It can be something simple, like typing faster, speaking more clearly, cooking a new recipe, or understanding basic budgeting. Whatever you choose, commit to practicing it consistently, not just learning about it from a distance. Real growth does not come from occasionally reading about a skill. It comes from small, repeated practice done regularly, even when progress feels slow. This leads to something very important that many people misunderstand completely. There is a huge difference between slow, steady practice and big, irregular bursts of effort. Someone who practices a skill for just 20 minutes daily will almost always outgrow someone who practices for 5 intense hours once a week, then stops for weeks after. Consistency quietly builds mastery, while irregular effort often leads to quick excitement, followed by burnout, followed by giving up completely. This is why so many people start strong on a new skill, then disappear after just a few days. Slow and steady growth may not feel exciting in the moment, but it is the method that actually works, patiently, reliably, over time. Skill development does something else that is often overlooked. It teaches patience, it teaches humility, it teaches the value of showing up, even when results are not visible yet. These lessons quietly shape character, far beyond just the skill itself. Now think about what you have built so far. You are learning continuously, filling your mind with new ideas. You are developing skill, turning that knowledge into real ability. Together, these two habits already begin transforming how capable and confident you feel in daily life. But none of this truly matters if the body carrying this growing mind is weak, tired, or unwell. And that brings us directly to something every single person depends on completely, whether they realize it or not, their own physical health. Chapter 3. Take care of your physical health. No amount of knowledge and no amount of skill matters if the body carrying that mind is tired, weak, or unwell. This is a simple truth that many people forget, because the mind feels separate from the body, but really, they are deeply connected. Your body is the foundation underneath everything else in your life. Think of it like the base of a building. If the base is weak, no matter how beautiful the building looks on top, it will eventually shake, crack, or fall. The same thing happens with people. You can have big goals, sharp thinking, and strong skills, but if your body constantly feels exhausted, none of that potential can fully come out. Most people ignore their body until something goes wrong. They push through tiredness, they ignore small pains. They sacrifice sleep for work and food quality for convenience. And they only realize how much they depended on their body once it starts breaking down, once energy disappears, once simple tasks start feeling difficult. But by then, fixing the damage takes far more effort than simply taking care of it earlier would have taken. Let us talk about a few simple truths without complicated medical language. Your body needs enough sleep to repair itself and think clearly the next day. Your body needs movement, even simple movement, to keep blood flowing, muscles active, and energy levels stable. Your body needs real food, not constant junk, to give your brain and muscles the fuel they need to function properly. These are not complicated ideas. Most people already know them. The real challenge is not knowledge here. The real challenge is consistency. Think about two people with the exact same goals and the exact same intelligence. One sleeps well most nights and moves their body daily, even with simple walks. The other stays up late scrolling on their phone, eats quickly without thinking, and barely moves throughout the day. After a few months, their results in life start looking completely different. The one who respected their body has more energy, more focus, and more patience to keep working toward their goals. The other one feels tired, distracted, and slower to make progress, even if their intelligence was exactly the same at the beginning. This difference is not random. It is connected to something powerful. Physical movement directly improves brain function. When you move your body, even something as simple as walking, blood flow to your brain increases, your mood improves, and your focus becomes sharper. This directly supports everything from the previous two chapters, the learning you are trying to absorb and the skills you are trying to build. A tired, sluggish body makes learning feel harder and practicing skills feel exhausting. A body that feels alive and energized makes both of those things feel lighter and more natural. Now, this does not mean you need extreme diets or intense workout routines to see real benefits. In fact, extreme changes rarely last because they feel overwhelming and unsustainable. Small, doable habits work far better over time. A short walk after a meal, going to sleep just 30 minutes earlier than usual, drinking a little more water throughout the day, cooking a simple homemade meal instead of something processed. These small actions may feel unimportant on their own, but repeated daily, they quietly transform how your body feels and functions. Many people use the excuse of time, believing they simply do not have enough hours in the day to care for their body properly. But even 10 minutes of movement daily creates real, measurable benefits over weeks and months. It is never really about having enough time. It is about protecting a small amount of time consistently, the same way we protect time for our phone, or entertainment, or work. Here is a simple, practical step you can take starting this week. Choose just one small physical habit. It could be 10 minutes of walking after lunch. It could be sleeping 30 minutes earlier tonight. It could be drinking one extra glass of water daily. Whatever you choose, keep it small enough that it feels easy to actually do, not something that feels like a huge burden from the very first day. Now think about what you're building so far throughout this video. You are learning continuously. You are developing real skill, and now you are taking care of the body that carries both of these efforts through daily life. But here is something important to understand. A strong, energetic body still means very little if the mind living inside it is constantly stressed, anxious, or emotionally overwhelmed. And that brings us to something just as important as physical health, something many people quietly struggle with in silence: their own mental health. Chapter 4: Strengthen your mental health. Many people take great care of their body, their work, and even their appearance, but they completely ignore something far more important underneath all of it: their own mind. This happens quietly, without anyone really noticing, because mental health is often misunderstood. Most people think mental health only means something serious, like a diagnosed illness, something that happens to other people, not to them. But the truth is much simpler and much closer to home. Mental health includes the small stress you feel every single day. It includes the quiet anxiety before an important conversation. It includes the emotional exhaustion after a long, difficult week. Almost everyone experiences these feelings, yet very few people actually address them properly. Instead, most people just push these feelings down and keep moving forward, hoping the feeling will simply disappear on its own. This is where the real danger begins. Small mental struggles, when ignored again and again, do not just disappear. They slowly grow bigger. A little stress becomes constant tension. A little sadness becomes deep exhaustion. A little worry becomes something that quietly controls daily decisions. This does not happen suddenly. It happens slowly, one ignored feeling at a time, until one day, the person feels completely overwhelmed without even understanding exactly why. Let us talk about something simple but powerful: the habit of naming your emotions honestly. Many people feel something uncomfortable inside, but instead of understanding it clearly, they simply say, "I'm fine," and move on. But there is a big difference between actually being fine and simply avoiding the truth. When you take a moment to honestly say to yourself, "I feel stressed," or "I feel anxious," or "I feel overwhelmed today," something powerful happens. The feeling becomes clearer, more manageable, instead of a vague, heavy weight sitting quietly inside you. Think about two different people carrying the same daily stress. One keeps pushing it down, pretending everything is fine, day after day, week after week. Over time, this constant suppression quietly builds pressure inside them, like water slowly filling a container with no space left to breathe. The other person takes small moments during their day to pause, breathe slowly, and simply acknowledge how they feel, without judging themselves for feeling that way. Over time, this second person carries much less hidden weight because they are releasing small amounts of pressure regularly, instead of letting it build up silently. There are simple, accessible ways to protect your mental health daily. Writing down your thoughts honestly in a journal, even just a few lines, can help release built-up emotion. Quiet moments of reflection, sitting alone for a few minutes without any distraction, can help you understand your own feelings more clearly. Talking honestly with someone you trust, a friend, a family member, or even a professional, can release emotional weight that silence only makes heavier over time. One of the biggest mental blocks many people carry is the belief that asking for help means weakness. This belief is deeply wrong, and it quietly damages so many people who suffer in silence instead of reaching out. Asking for support, whether from a friend, a family member, or a mental health professional, is not weakness at all. It is one of the strongest, most self-aware things a person can do. Strength is not about carrying everything alone. Strength is about knowing when to ask for support and having the courage to actually do it. A calm, well-cared-for mind changes everything else in life. It improves decision-making because clear thinking replaces reactive, emotional choices. It improves relationships because a person who feels emotionally steady treats others with more patience and understanding. It even improves physical health because chronic stress quietly damages the body over time, connecting directly back to the previous chapter about taking care of yourself physically. Here's a simple, practical step you can start today. Take just 5 quiet minutes daily, completely alone, without your phone, without any distraction. Sit comfortably. Breathe slowly. Simply notice how you feel in that moment, without judging it as good or bad. This small daily habit, repeated consistently, quietly builds emotional awareness and calmness over time. The same way small physical habits slowly build a stronger body. Now think about everything you're building throughout this video so far. You are learning continuously. You are developing real skill. You are caring for your physical health. And now, you are learning to protect and strengthen your own mind. But even a strong, calm mind can slowly be pulled down by the wrong environment around you. And this brings us to something incredibly powerful, something most people underestimate completely: the people you choose to keep close in your life. Chapter 5. Surround yourself with positive influences. There is a powerful truth about human nature that most people never fully realize. You slowly become like the people you spend the most time with, without even noticing it happening. Their habits quietly become your habits. Their thinking slowly becomes your thinking. Their energy, whether positive or negative, slowly becomes your energy too. This is not something dramatic or sudden. It happens slowly, day after day, conversation after conversation, until one day you look at your own mindset and realize it looks very similar to the people around you. This is exactly why the environment you live in matters so much more than most people ever imagine. A negative environment does not need to be loud or obvious to cause damage. Sometimes it is quiet. It looks like people who constantly complain about their situation but never actually try to change it. It looks like people who mock ambition, who call big goals unrealistic, who quietly discourage effort by calling it too much or unnecessary. Being around this kind of energy for a long time slowly shrinks your own ambition, your own confidence, and your own hope for a better future, even if you started out feeling strong and motivated. Now think about the opposite. Think about being around people who encourage growth, who celebrate effort, who genuinely want to see you improve. Around this kind of energy, hard work starts to feel normal instead of strange or excessive. Trying new things feels safe instead of embarrassing. Even failure feels acceptable because the people around you understand that failure is simply part of growing, not something to be ashamed of. Let us look at this with a simple, relatable example. Imagine someone surrounded by friends who constantly complain about their jobs, give up easily on their goals, and mock anyone who tries to do something different. Slowly, this person starts believing that trying hard is pointless because that is the message repeated around them every single day. Now imagine another person surrounded by people who work on their goals, support each other's efforts, and celebrate small wins along the way. This person naturally starts working harder too, not because someone forced them, but because that environment made effort feel completely normal. This does not mean you need to abandon every person who is not perfectly positive. Life is not that simple, and relationships are often complicated. But it does mean becoming conscious about who deserves more of your time and energy, and who quietly drains it without giving anything back. This is not about judgment. It is about protecting your own growth, gently and honestly. If certain people constantly leave you feeling smaller, more doubtful, or more discouraged after spending time with them, that is important information worth paying attention to. Finding mentors, role models, or even online communities focused on growth can quietly transform your entire mindset over time. You do not need to personally know someone successful to learn from them. Watching how they think, how they handle challenges, and how they stay consistent can shape your own thinking, even from a distance. Many viewers might feel a quiet fear here, the fear of losing old friends or old relationships, by focusing more on positive influences. This fear is completely understandable, and it does not mean you need to cut people off harshly or without care. Growth sometimes naturally shifts who feels close to you and who slowly feels distant, simply because your paths and mindsets start moving in different directions. This is a normal part of growing, not something to feel guilty about. Here's a simple, practical step you can begin today. Notice how you feel after spending time with certain people. Do you feel inspired, calm, and motivated afterward? Or do you feel drained, doubtful, or discouraged? Slowly, without any dramatic action, begin spending a little more time around people and content that leaves you feeling inspired, and a little less time around energy that quietly pulls you down. Now think about everything you're building so far throughout this video. You are learning continuously. You are developing real skill. You are caring for your body. You are strengthening your mind. And now you are consciously choosing the environment that surrounds all of this growth. But even the right people around you cannot create real direction on their own. Growth still needs a clear target to move toward, and that brings us to something incredibly important: setting real, personal goals that actually challenge you. Chapter 6: Set personal goals that challenge you. Without clear goals, even the most capable person slowly drifts through life without any real direction. They wake up, they go to work, they come home. They repeat the same routine, week after week, year after year, without ever asking themselves where all of this is actually leading. This is not because they lack ability, it is simply because they never gave their effort a clear target to move toward. A person can be intelligent, skilled, and hardworking, but without a real goal, all that potential quietly spreads in every direction, instead of building towards something meaningful. Let us talk about the difference between comfortable goals and challenging goals, because this difference changes everything. A comfortable goal feels safe. It asks very little from you. It fits easily into your current life, without requiring much change or effort. But comfort, by its very nature, rarely creates real growth. When a goal feels too easy, you finish it without stretching yourself, without discovering new strength, without becoming a slightly stronger version of yourself in the process. A challenging goal feels different. It creates a small amount of fear, a small amount of doubt, a feeling of, can I actually do this? This uncomfortable feeling is not a warning sign to avoid the goal. It is actually a sign that real growth is waiting on the other side of it. Think about two people setting goals at the same time. One person sets a small, safe goal, something they know they can easily achieve without much struggle. They complete it, feel briefly satisfied, and then continue exactly as before. The other person sets a goal that feels slightly uncomfortable, something that pushes their current abilities and confidence. They struggle a little. They doubt themselves at times. But by the time they reach that goal, they are not the same person who started it. They have grown quietly and permanently in a way the first person never experienced. Many people avoid big, challenging goals because of one deep fear, the fear of failure. Nobody enjoys the idea of trying hard and still not succeeding. But here is something important to understand about failure. Failure is not proof that you are not good enough. Failure is simply proof that you attempted something meaningful enough to matter. People who never fail at anything are often people who never truly tried anything challenging in the first place. Every person who has ever achieved something significant has failed multiple times along the way. The difference is, they did not let failure stop them completely. Now let us talk about a simple, practical way to set challenging goals without feeling completely overwhelmed by them. Start by choosing one big goal that genuinely excites you, even if it also feels a little scary. Then break that big goal into small, doable weekly steps. Instead of feeling pressure to achieve everything at once, you simply focus on completing one small step this week, then the next step the following week, slowly building momentum over time. This method makes even a large, intimidating goal feel manageable, one small piece at a time. Writing your goals down is also incredibly powerful, something many people skip completely. A goal that only exists inside your mind stays vague, easy to forget, and easy to quietly abandon. But a goal written down, with specific details and a clear plan, becomes something real, something you can actually track and measure over time. Simply writing, "I want to improve myself," is vague and easy to forget. Writing, "I want to practice speaking English for 20 minutes daily for the next 30 days," is specific, clear, and far more likely to actually happen. Notice how challenging goals naturally connect to everything you have already built throughout this video. Learning continuously gives you new knowledge to apply toward your goal. Developing skill gives you the actual ability to work toward it. Physical health gives you the energy to keep going. Mental strength helps you push through doubt and difficult moments. Positive people around you provide encouragement when the journey feels hard. All of these earlier investments quietly support you the moment you set a real, challenging goal to chase. Here's a simple, practical step you can take today. Write down one personal goal that feels slightly uncomfortable, something that genuinely challenges you. Then break it down into just 3 small first steps you can begin working on this week. Now think about everything you have built so far throughout this video. You are learning, you are developing skill, you are caring for your body and mind. You are surrounded by the right influences, and now you have real, clear direction through meaningful goals. But no goal is ever achieved completely alone. Every meaningful journey needs support along the way. And that brings us to something deeply important, the relationships that carry you through this entire process. Chapter 7. Build and maintain valuable relationships. No matter how successful someone becomes, an empty personal life quietly makes that success feel hollow. You can achieve big goals, build impressive skills, and grow financially. But if there is nobody real to share that life with, something important still feels missing. This is a truth many people only realize later in life, often after spending years chasing success while quietly neglecting the people around them. Relationships are not something that simply happen on their own and stay strong forever. They require conscious time, real effort, and genuine care, just like any other important investment in this video. A relationship left completely unattended, no matter how strong it once was, slowly weakens over time, the same way a plant without water eventually dries up. We live in a strange time where this problem has become more common than ever before. Many people are surrounded by hundreds, even thousands of online contacts, followers, and connections. Yet, during a genuinely hard moment in life, they struggle to think of even 1 or 2 people they could actually call for real support. This is one of the quiet, painful realities of modern life, being constantly connected online while feeling deeply lonely in real life. Think about 2 very different people. One has hundreds of online followers, likes, and casual conversations, but very few deep, honest relationships. The other has only a handful of close people in their life, but those relationships are built on real trust, honesty, and genuine care. During a difficult moment, a job loss, a health scare, a personal struggle, it becomes very clear which type of connection actually matters. A few deep, trusted relationships almost always provide more real support than hundreds of surface-level online connections ever could. Building valuable relationships does not require some special skill that only a few people possess. It simply requires real, honest effort. Having genuine conversations, instead of only surface-level small talk, slowly builds real connection over time. Remembering small but important details about people's lives, their struggles, their goals, their preferences, shows them that they truly matter to you, not just as a name on a contact list, but as a real person. Showing up during someone's hard times, even with something as simple as a message or a short visit, often means far more than people realize in the moment. Many people focus only on constantly making new connections, while quietly neglecting relationships that already exist and already hold real value. But maintaining old, valuable relationships is just as important as building new ones, sometimes even more important. A childhood friend, a supportive family member, a mentor from years ago, these relationships often carry deep trust that took years to build. Letting them fade away simply due to busy schedules or distraction means losing something that cannot easily be replaced or rebuilt later. Strong relationships directly support almost everything discussed earlier in this video. They protect mental health, giving you a safe space to express emotions honestly, instead of carrying everything alone in silence. They boost motivation, especially during difficult moments when your own energy feels low, but someone else believes in you enough to keep you moving forward. They even create real opportunities in life, career connections, personal growth, and support systems that often come directly through genuine, trusted relationships, not through impressive resumes or online profiles alone. One of the most common reasons relationships quietly weaken is simply a busy, overloaded schedule. Life gets full of work, responsibilities, and daily stress, and relationships slowly become the thing people postpone again and again, believing there will always be more time later. But relationships are not maintained through occasional grand gestures. They are maintained through small, consistent effort, repeated regularly over time. The same way trust is built through many small moments, not one single big moment. Here is a simple, practical step you can take today. Reach out to one valuable person in your life right now, just to check on them, with absolutely no other reason behind it. No favor to ask, no hidden agenda, just genuine care, expressed simply and honestly. Small moments like this, repeated consistently, slowly build relationships strong enough to support you through anything life brings. Now think about everything you have built throughout this video so far. You are learning continuously. You are developing skill. You are caring for your body and mind. You are surrounded by positive influences. You are chasing meaningful goals. And now, you are nurturing real, valuable relationships around you. But even the strongest relationships cannot completely protect you from stress if your financial life constantly feels unstable and confusing. And that brings us to something most people were never properly taught: understanding and investing in your own financial education. Chapter 8. Invest in your financial education. Most people are never truly taught how money actually works. Not in school, not at home, not anywhere along the way while growing up. Children learn history, science, and mathematics, but almost nobody teaches them how to manage money, how to save properly, or how to avoid common financial mistakes. This silence, this missing education, quietly creates lifelong struggle for so many people, not because they are careless, but simply because nobody ever taught them the basics in the first place. There is a big difference between constantly working for money and understanding how money can slowly work for you over time. Many people spend their entire lives trading hours for income, without ever learning simple habits that could reduce stress and build long-term security. This is not about becoming wealthy overnight. It is simply about understanding a few basic financial concepts that quietly change everything over time. Let us talk about a few of these concepts in very simple language. Saving before spending means setting aside a small amount of money first, before spending on anything else, instead of spending everything and hoping something remains at the end. Understanding needs versus wants means honestly recognizing which purchases are truly necessary and which ones are simply desires in the moment, often forgotten shortly after buying them. Avoiding unnecessary debt means being careful about borrowing money for things that quickly lose value, instead of saving patiently and buying with money already earned. Think about two people earning the exact same income. One understands these basic financial habits, saves consistently, spends carefully, and slowly builds a sense of security over time. The other earns the same amount, but spends carelessly, borrows frequently, and constantly feels stressed about money, despite having a similar income to the first person. Over years, their financial lives look completely different, not because of how much they earned, but because of how well they understood and managed what they earned. Financial education does not require being some kind of genius with numbers. It does not require complicated formulas or advanced mathematics. It simply requires learning a few simple, repeated habits applied consistently over a long period of time. Most financial success actually comes from discipline and patience, not from complex knowledge that only experts understand. There is also an emotional side to money that many people ignore completely. Many people feel deep shame around financial mistakes they have made in the past: overspending, unnecessary debt, poor decisions made without proper understanding. This shame often stops people from learning and improving because they avoid thinking about money altogether, simply to escape that uncomfortable feeling. But financial mistakes from the past do not define your financial future. What matters is choosing to learn from today onward, without carrying unnecessary guilt about decisions made without proper knowledge at the time. Let us talk about simple starting steps anyone can take, regardless of their current financial situation. Tracking your spending for just 1 month. Writing down everything you spend money on often reveals surprising patterns that were completely invisible before. Learning just one basic financial concept each week, through simple videos or articles, slowly builds real understanding over time, without ever feeling overwhelming. These small steps do not require expert knowledge. They simply require curiosity and consistency, the same qualities we discussed back in the very first chapter of this video. In fact, financial growth connects directly back to almost everything discussed earlier. The discipline built through physical health, waking up early, staying consistent, resisting instant gratification, applies directly to financial habits too. The patience built through developing new skills applies directly to building wealth slowly over time, instead of expecting quick, unrealistic results. Even the mindset built through challenging personal goals applies directly to financial goals, breaking big financial targets into small, manageable steps instead of feeling overwhelmed by the bigger picture. Here is a simple, practical step you can take this week. Choose one simple piece of financial education content: a short video, a simple article, or even a conversation with someone financially responsible, focused only on basic understanding, nothing complicated or advanced. Just one small step toward understanding something that affects your entire life, yet was never properly taught to most people. Now think about everything you have built throughout this video so far. You are learning continuously. You are developing skill. You are caring for your body and mind. You are surrounded by positive people. You are chasing meaningful goals. You are nurturing valuable relationships. And now, you are slowly understanding the financial side of life too. But a life only focused on constant productivity, work, goals, and responsibility eventually loses something precious: genuine joy. And that brings us to something many people forget completely as they grow older: making real time for creativity and hobbies. Chapter 9. Make time for creativity and hobbies. There is a quiet, honest truth that many adults never say out loud. Somewhere along the way, they forget what they actually enjoy doing. Life slowly becomes only about responsibilities, work, chores, and tasks that need to be finished. The things that once brought simple joy, drawing, singing, playing an instrument, writing, building something with their hands, quietly disappear, pushed aside by a busy, demanding schedule. And most people do not even notice this disappearing until one day they realize they cannot remember the last time they did something purely for their own joy. Many people believe creativity is only for artists, painters, musicians, or writers, people with some special, rare talent. But this belief is completely wrong. Creativity is not a rare gift given to a few special people. It is a basic human need, present inside every single person, regardless of their profession, their age, or their daily responsibilities. A doctor can find creativity in how they explain something to a worried patient. An accountant can find creativity in how they organize complicated information into something simple. Creativity simply means expressing something inside you in your own unique way, and everyone carries this ability, even if they have forgotten it exists. Hobbies and creative activities do something incredibly powerful for the mind. They reduce stress, refresh mental energy, and bring back genuine joy into daily life. Think about someone who only works and only rests in complete exhaustion afterward, day after day, with nothing in between except tiredness. Compare that to someone who also works hard, but protects a small amount of time for something creative, cooking a new recipe, playing music, sketching quietly in the evening. This second person often feels far more alive, far more balanced, and surprisingly often more productive in their actual work too, simply because their mind gets small moments of genuine refreshment along the way. There is something interesting happening inside the brain during creative activities. When you draw, write, cook, play music, or build something with your hands, your brain uses a different kind of thinking than the thinking used for daily tasks and responsibilities. This creative thinking quietly strengthens problem-solving skills that carry over into every other part of life, including work, relationships, and personal goals discussed earlier in this video. Many people feel a strange sense of guilt when they consider spending time on hobbies. They quietly think, "This is wasting time. I should be doing something more productive instead." This guilt comes from a misunderstanding of what true balance actually looks like. Constant productivity, without any joy or creative release, does not lead to a better life. It often leads to slow, quiet burnout, the same danger discussed when we talked about physical and mental health earlier. Protecting time for creativity is not wasting time. It is actually protecting the energy and mental clarity needed to keep showing up fully for everything else in your life. One important thing to remember here: creativity does not need to be perfect, impressive, or even good in the traditional sense. Many adults avoid hobbies simply because they feel embarrassed about not being skilled at them. But a hobby does not exist to impress anyone. It exists purely to bring genuine enjoyment back into your life. Singing badly in your own room still releases stress. Drawing simple shapes without any artistic talent still refreshes your mind. The value of a hobby comes from the joy it brings you personally, not from how it looks to anyone else watching. Here's a simple, practical step you can take starting this week. Choose one small hobby you used to enjoy, or one new activity you have always been curious about. Give it just 20 minutes this week without any pressure to be good at it, without judging the result, simply allowing yourself to enjoy the process itself. This small step often reconnects people with a part of themselves they had quietly forgotten existed. Now think about everything you have built throughout this video so far. You are learning continuously, you are developing skill, you are caring for your body and mind. You are surrounded by positive influences. You are chasing meaningful goals. You are building valuable relationships. You understand your finances a little better now too. And now, you are making space for creativity and genuine joy in your life. But even creativity and joy cannot sustain a person forever without something even deeper underneath all of it. Something most people quietly ignore until their body and mind eventually force them to pay attention: real, proper rest. Chapter 10. Prioritize self-care and rest. There is a powerful truth that most people misunderstand completely. Rest is not laziness. Rest is not something you earn only after finishing every single task on your list. Rest is actually the fuel that allows every other investment discussed in this video to truly work. Without proper rest, learning becomes harder to absorb, skills become harder to practice, health slowly weakens, the mind becomes foggy, relationships feel exhausting instead of enjoyable, and even creativity quietly disappears because a tired mind has very little left to give. Rest is not the opposite of growth. Rest is actually a hidden requirement for real, lasting growth. We live in a world that constantly celebrates hustle, constant work, constant pushing, constant busyness. Many people believe that resting means falling behind, that slowing down even for a moment means someone else will move ahead of them. This belief quietly leads to something dangerous: burnout. A person pushes and pushes, ignoring tiredness, ignoring warning signs, until one day their body or mind simply stops cooperating completely. What could have been prevented with proper rest now takes months, sometimes years, to fully recover from. There is also an important difference between passive rest and true, restorative rest, something many people confuse without realizing it. Scrolling through a phone for hours often feels like resting, but it actually leaves the mind feeling more tired, not less, because it constantly stimulates attention without ever giving it real relief. True rest looks different. It looks like deep, uninterrupted sleep. It looks like quiet time with no screens, no noise, no constant stimulation. It looks like genuinely relaxing, allowing the mind and body to fully slow down instead of simply switching from one form of stimulation to another. Think about two people living very similar busy lives. One constantly pushes through exhaustion, believing rest is something weak people need, while strong people simply keep going no matter what. Over time, this person becomes irritable, unfocused, and eventually physically or emotionally exhausted, despite working so hard for so long. The other person respects rest, protecting proper sleep, quiet time, and genuine relaxation, even while working hard toward their own goals. This second person sustains their energy for much longer, makes clearer decisions, and surprisingly, often accomplishes more over time, simply because their mind and body remain capable of consistent quality effort, instead of collapsing under constant pressure. Self-care is often misunderstood as something selfish, something only lazy or self-absorbed people focus on. But this could not be further from the truth. Self-care is exactly what allows a person to keep showing up fully for their goals, their health, their relationships, and everyone who depends on them. A person who constantly gives everything to others, while giving nothing back to themselves, eventually has nothing left to give at all. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. It is what makes everything else in your life sustainable. Let us talk about simple, daily, and weekly self-care habits that protect long-term energy. Proper sleep, going to bed at a consistent, reasonable time, allows the body and mind to fully repair overnight. Quiet mornings, even just 10 minutes without immediately checking a phone, create a calm, steady start to the day instead of instant stress and stimulation. Unplugged evenings, stepping away from screens before sleeping, allow the mind to slowly settle, instead of staying overstimulated late into the night. These simple habits, repeated consistently, quietly protect the energy needed for everything else discussed throughout this entire video. Rest directly supports every single chapter we have covered together. Learning becomes easier with a well-rested mind. Skills develop faster with proper energy and focus. Physical health improves naturally with adequate sleep. Mental health stabilizes with genuine relaxation. Relationships feel lighter and more enjoyable when you are not running on empty. Financial decisions become clearer with a calm, unstressed mind. Creativity flows more freely when the mind is not exhausted. Every single investment in this video depends, at its foundation, on a person who is properly rested. Now let us bring everything together. Self-investment was never about one single dramatic action. It is about many small, consistent choices made daily, working quietly together over time, learning a little, practicing a skill, moving your body, calming your mind, choosing the right people, setting real goals, nurturing relationships, understanding money, making time for joy, and finally, respecting rest enough to protect it. Here's a simple final practice you can begin tonight. Choose one small rest habit. Going to bed a little earlier, spending 10 quiet minutes without your phone, simply allowing your mind to slow down. Protect this small moment like an important appointment with yourself, because that is exactly what it is. You give so much time, effort, and care to your work, your family, and everyone around you. Tonight and every night after this, remember that you deserve that same care too. You now have 10 real ways to invest in yourself. Learning, skill, health, mind, people, goals, relationships, money, creativity, rest. This is not something you need to fix all at once. Nobody changes their whole life in one day. Real change happens slowly, one small choice at a time, repeated with patience. So choose just one chapter from this video, the one that feels most needed in your life right now, and start with that today. Now I want to hear from you. Out of these 10 chapters, which one do you need the most right now? Comment the number below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. Your comment might help someone else watching who feels exactly the same way. If this video reminded you that you are worth investing in, give it a like. It helps this video reach more people who need to hear this today. And if you want more real, practical lessons on personal growth and confident English, subscribe to this channel. New videos are coming soon, and I do not want you to miss them. Remember this before you go. You spend so much time and energy taking care of everyone and everything around you. Starting today, give a little of that same care back to yourself, because you are and you will always be the most important investment you will ever make.